Greetings everyone. Welcome to CEC Gurukul lectures. I am Mehak Chawla, art educator, Bharatanatyam dancer and disciple of Guru Srimati Geeta Chandranji. We are going to begin by studying the branches of art, and we are going to begin with visual art, and we are going to study about different architectures, different types of architecture. To begin with, Egyptian architecture. In ancient Egypt, they built huge tombs in the shapes of pyramids. For example, the Great Pyramid in Giza, which is 150 meters high. This kind of architecture is marked by early understanding of geometrical shapes and lines. It is also to be noticed that these structures are constructed without any joints. These grand structures were created not to satisfy the worldly needs of the people, but for religious purposes. This was to firmly establish the political power of the rulers who were known as Parohas. Now let us study about Indus civilization. The very early material for architecture was timber, which is wood. Later, the bricks made of mud were used for architecture. A very early and fine example of houses constructed with mud bricks was found in the cities of Indus civilization, such as Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, and others. Public buildings were also constructed in other places using wood and mud bricks. Early temples in European cultures were built with sunburned bricks and decorated with mosaics using colored stones or tiles of small sizes and creating a motif or design, and mural paintings. Later, stone became the common material for architecture. Because of the use of stone, the size of the building enlarged. They became long-lasting, permanent, and looked grand. Now, let's study about Greek architecture. This architecture of ancient Greece was the foundation of many subsequent styles in different parts of the world. The concept was democratic, not imperialistic like the Egyptian Parohas. The entire city was full of well-planned structures. The temples, palaces, market squares, landscaped gardens, houses, swimming pool, open-air theatres, stadiums, gymnasiums were the architectural achievements of the Greeks. It reflected the cultural blossoming of the Greek society as early as 8th to 2nd century BC. Classical Greece set the standard for architecture and had the greatest single influence on the development of European art. It was the Greeks who laid down the rules of proportion and who constructed their buildings according to scientific formula. They translated these rules into living buildings which have timeless value and immortality. Every line and every shape fulfill a function and contribute to the flow of building and the astonishing sense of perfection it imparts. They introduced the classical order of pillars and beams. Three major types of pillars were Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, which have become the characteristic of European style of architecture. They have also been given the world the concept of ground plan, which shows all the details of the division and column positions in the building. The Greek architecture moved to Rome and other parts of Italy, and later in the Middle Ages to other countries of Europe. All great churches and cathedrals in Europe evolved from the Greco-Roman tradition and made alterations according to requirement of their religion, Christianity. Now let us know about Indian architecture. In Asia, Indian and Southeast Asian architectural tradition is influenced by two major religions, Hinduism and Buddhism. According to the requirements of worship, temples were built. Now let's know about the Islamic architecture. In Islamic architecture, it also has a unique characteristics. Islam as a religion originated in the Arab region but spread rapidly to the Middle East, including Egypt, Africa, Spain, and then to Central Asia, India, and Southeast Asian countries. The requirements of their religious architecture are interpreted in their holy books of Quran. Their religious place is known as the mosque, which is a prayer hall for all the people. It is a huge hall with a niche known as mihrab in the wall, delicately carved screen directed towards Mecca with high minarets and in the form of column. The central dome of the mosque is beautifully ornate and the interior are vast with high raised columns and arcs. Use of marble is an important feature of Islamic architecture. In India, we have Jama Masjid in many cities, which are monumental in character. They also constructed tombs for the dead. In and around Delhi, we have many tombs like Humayun tomb, and one of the great pieces of Islamic architecture is the Taj Mahal, built in fully marble. Now let's study about modern architecture. The 20th century created new type of buildings like industrial buildings, offices, mansions, apartments, public places like bus stations, assembly houses, museums, galleries, sport complexes, shopping complexes, airports, apartments, and residential colonies, theatre halls, universities, etc. The materials used include glass, fiberglass, wood, steel, stone, brick, cement, etc. The new material is used along with the concept of design. In present days, design decides everything in architecture. It has become a trend to construct a monumental structure within a short time. So, prefabricated blocks are the preferred material for architecture. According to the needs and the time available, the architectural project is taken forward and completed. Olympic Games are now occasions for introducing and creating wonders in architecture. Each country looks forward to create a greater architectural project than ever before carried out. In the recent Beijing Olympics, the Chinese architects created the bird nest, a grand symbol of modern architecture. So, now let's just summarize it up. Before spoken or written language evolved, early humans relied on visual symbols and drawings to share their experiences. The cave paintings of Bhimbetka and served as the earliest form of communication. Even today, a picture often conveys more powerfully than the words, the saying. A picture is worth 1,000 words hold true. The visual arts also act as a record of history, expressing cultural values, political events, and social concerns. A temple sculpture and a war painting or a mural in a public space can tell us more about a civilization mindset than any written text. And if I speak about the aesthetic of visual art, so the study of aesthetics, known as the science and philosophy of art, explains how human activity transforms into artistic creation. Visual arts reflect the cultural taste and sensibilities of their time. For instance, as we have just studied, that Taj Mahal embodies the Mughal refinement, the symmetry, and the love for marble inlay work. Similarly, Ajanta cave reflects Buddhist ideals of compassion and storytelling through imagery. The appreciation of aesthetic refines an individual personality, encourages cultural development, and builds a deeper connection between humans and nature. In this way, art enriches both personal and social life. And among all visual arts, we have just studied that architecture is the most functional one. It fulfills the basic needs of shelter, comfort, and religious devotion. Whereas the painting and sculpture serves to narrate stories and convey religious or cultural messages. The Ajanta murals narrate the Jatka tales of the Buddha, while the Sistine Chapel ceiling in Rome depicts biblical creation scenes. Both remain spiritual guides for generations. And visual art also act as a social and historical document, preserving lifestyle, fashion, rituals, and beliefs of earlier societies. In the present age, visual arts have expanded beyond temples and monuments. They play an active role in advertising, media, film, industry, product design, and urban spaces, making them integral to modern life. So, summarizing up the types of visual art, so the traditional visual arts were limited to painting, sculpture, architecture, and design and drawing. With modern technology, the definition has expanded to include photography, videography, cinema, television, digital design, and advertising. Today's world is highly visual, and communication increasingly depends on images and design rather than words alone. If I speak of painting, India has one of the richest painting tradition in the world, from prehistoric rock painting at Bhimbetka to Ajanta cave murals and later Mughal and Rajput miniature painting has expressed religious, social, and personal emotions. Ancient texts like the Chitra Sutra in the Vishnu Dharmottara Puran describe techniques of painting, theories of color, and the six limbs of painting, which is Shadangas: form, proportion, emotion, freshness, lightness, and depth. Through lines, colors, and proportions, paintings make emotions visible, whether it is the serenity of the Buddha face or the grandeur of a royal court scene. So if I speak of sculpture, it is the earliest sculptures made with simple clay and terracotta figures which later developed into stone, wood, ivory and finally metal images. Indian sculptures has two major traditions: folk or the lower tradition, which is functional, ritualistic, often seasonal in character, and the other one is classical or of higher tradition, which is guided by religious texts and iconography with strict rules for proportions and symbolism. Techniques varied from engraving to relief work, low, middle or high, freestanding images, stencils, stencil carving and metal casting. The famous lost wax and hollow wax method of bronze casting were perfected in southern India. For example, the Chola bronze of Nataraja. It's a huge sculpture of that time. The religious texts such as the Agamas detail how Hindu, Buddhist and Jain deities were to be represented, ensuring uniformity across centuries. So, visual arts, whether in the form of painting, sculpture, architecture, are inseparable from human civilization. They serve as a means of communication, a record of history, a spiritual guide, a professional pursuit, and a source of aesthetic delight. From prehistoric cave art to digital design in today's age, visual arts continue to shape human identity and expression. They remind us that creativity is not a luxury but a fundamental need of society. So, now we move ahead to a different branch of art, which is performing art. So, art such as theatre, music, dance and choreography are collectively known as performing arts. What distinguishes them is that they are meant to be performed live before an audience, creating a direct connection between the artist and the spectators. Theatre is an art form that presents the world aesthetically through dramatic action performed by actors. And the foundation of theatre lies in dramaturgy, the study and practice of dramatic compositions. Unlike visual art, the creative process of theatre unfolds live in real time in front of the audience, making the experience dynamic and immediate. India has made a rich contribution to dramaturgy through the Natyashastra, an ancient text that codifies the principles of theatre, performance and expression. Music, which is often regarded as the mother of all arts, bridges the worlds of dance and theatre. Its origin lies in the initiation of natural sounds using the human voice or musical instruments. The fundamentals of music, rhythm and harmony combine to create melody, which forms the essence of musical expression. The earliest forms of music were simple folk tunes, and songs, which over time were developed with intricate features and infused with emotions. Music has a unique ability to communicate directly with the soul, stirring a wide spectrum of human emotions such as joy, sorrow, devotion, and ecstasy. It creates a spiritual experience not only for the performer but also for the listener, making it one of the most intimate and profound forms of performing art. In India, dance and music are celebrated on almost every occasion, from moments of sorrow to celebration of happiness. There is always music and dance to express human emotions. Even a child is naturally drawn to the sound of music and the rhythm of dance, responding instinctively to these forms of expression. The natural attraction makes it possible to use music and dance as effective pedagogical tools. Integrating these art forms into learning not only makes education more engaging, but also support the holistic development of a child, whether it be intellectually, emotionally, or socially. Moreover, other art forms can be interwoven with music and dance. Achievements in literature, poetry, text, and creative writing can be transformed into expressive performances, making complex ideas more relatable and easier to internalize. For learners, this approach provides a safe and creative space to express themselves, allowing them to communicate thoughts and emotions in a way that is both natural and deeply satisfying. Human society has always accepted and encouraged performances. Now, you might ask, what exactly is a performance? How do we define it for the purpose of study? This is a very valid question. It is one of things to simply enjoy a performance taking place right in front of your eyes, but pause for a moment and close your eyes and try to recall and visualize an experience of watching something you thoroughly enjoyed, appreciated, or perhaps even envied. This is where the elements of aesthetic and being appreciated come into play. Similarly, we can make certain observations about performing arts. Performing arts are inherently live and experiential. Their essence depends on performance. When someone performs, the audience enjoys and responds. However, it is important to note the difference between an art and a sport. In sports, the aim is to win. Victory is the ultimate goal. Sports are inherently competitive with challenges posed between individuals or teams. Art, on the other hand, is not competitive. The challenge in art is with oneself, not with others. It is a personal journey of exploration, refinement, and expression. While sports may generate excitement, thrill, and temporary emotions like joy in victory or disappointment in defeat, art affects us deeply and profoundly, whereas performing arts evoke responses from the innermost depth of the soul, creating experiences that transcends the ordinary world. This profound, almost otherworldly impact is what defines a performing arts. With this, I conclude my lecture here. Thank you.